Hey ladies, what is up? Welcome back. We are in a new little spot. We are downstairs. We are in my living room. Yes. I'm re-renovating, that's how you say it, my office slash beauty room, all the things that goes on in that room. I'm officially going to turn that particular room into my podcast studio. Yes, 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 yes. So I said, Kelly, come downstairs, get comfortable, and do your thing. And then we can, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. While we're down here doing our thing, getting the podcast going, I could be up there kind of like gutting things out, you know, just moving things around, because not only is that where I record my podcast, I do my beauty videos in there for my main channel. So if you're not following, go ahead and follow my main channel. I'll leave all the links down below. But I also have a full-time job. I am an accountant by day, and I work in that room. So I said, Kelly, you got to make a sacrifice. Yes, your day job is your bread and butter, but I do have a loft, so I'm going to make a nice, cute office space on my loft for my day job. And then I'm going to turn the actual whole room into a podcast studio and a beauty room, to do my beauty content when that does arise. So that's what we're doing. But how are you guys doing? What is going on? How are you feeling? Let me tell you guys, before we get into it, today what we're going to be talking about, you probably saw it in the title and whatnot, but we're going to be talking about 5 tips to just embrace change in your midlife. And I don't want to give it all the way because I'm going to touch on some points that I do have here. But I had a very eventful weekend. A very eventful weekend. My weekend consisted of me needing new tires. I needed new tires since back in June. But I played around and played around and played around. I'm like, I'm riding on these North Carolina streets. I ain't going nowhere. I'm good. And I had somewhere to go this particular weekend. And I said, Kelly, you cannot get on the highway going 2.5 hours away with these tires. I was like, get some new tires. Playing around, okay? Not being an adult by any means. So I went to get my tires, and I told the young lady what kind of car I had, and she picked out the particular tires. However, they weren't the right tires. I need run flats. I don't have a spare tire for my car. So I said, are those run flats? Just like asking her. And she's like, oh, no, these are regular tires. You got a spare, right? And I'm like, no. She said, you need run flats? I'm like, yeah. So then I had to go back. Y'all. So bottom line, I went to Charlotte this weekend, and I had to drive, and I drove back. I just was like, I didn't have the energy. I didn't want to spend any more money. I was like, tires are expensive, and I'm not a credit card girly. I do use a credit card. I have an Amex. I have 3 Amex, right? But my thing is, I like to pay things off. Like, once I use it, pay it off. I use it as the cash, but then I earn points, I earn this, I earn money, I earn rewards. So at the end of the day, by you being a good credit card user, you get so much. And I was like, you know what? I ain't in the mood to pay that back. I'm not, no. So I got to be a good girl. So I said, you know what? I got to be an adult. And I drove to Charlotte, drove back, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, that was yesterday, y'all. Yesterday. I slept like a brick. I feel good now. I feel good. I'm here. We're giving all the vibes and the feels. But when I tell you, I was so tired when I walked through that door. I was like, where is the bed? Okay. I took a shower and I went straight to bed. But yeah, I wanted to just tell you about how I had to big adult. And then I had issues with my toilets. My toilet had went out. I had to change the little flapper and the pump valve. That's what it's called. I think it's called pump valve. Water valve. My downstairs bathroom went out today. I already know what to do. So before I'm here talking to you lovely ladies, I was like, say folks, lovely ladies. I just got finished changing the one downstairs. So all is good. We're getting back on track. I bought an extra one in the event my other bathroom upstairs. I have only have full bathrooms. I don't have any half baths. So I said, any event the next one goes out, I am fully covered to take care of that. So let's get into it, y'all. So just talking about embracing change. I just had to embrace some change, right? One, me being an adult, and now I'm a plumber, so I had to embrace change. But I want to talk about why it's important, to embrace change so you can have happiness in your midlife. Sometimes when I know, not just myself too, but watching like my mom and other elders in my family, you get so caught up in the way it is and you don't want to change. And change is good. I understand we gotta, kind of stay grounded, keep your normal things going on so you can have some structure. But change could be good in some ways. And I'm going to hit on some points here. So the reason why, accepting change is inevitable. It's going to happen. Sometimes you're forced to change. Like me, prime example, I was forced to get those times. That's not pretty much change, but I was forced. I had to buckle down and say, Kelly, you got to do it. And then like me with my issues with my plumbing, I could have easily called a plumber. But I was like, you know what, Kelly, let's go to YouTube University and let's figure this out. And I did it. And I feel not only am I proud of myself, I save a ton of money because you think about all the service fees that goes into people coming out. Yes, granted, some things we just have to do. But some things, if you can do it yourself, try to do it. I know some of us, we are not that handy. Some of us, we are like, look, this is a bit much. But if you can, try to. But change it's just a part of life. It's a natural process. We change and don't even realize that we're changing. Sometimes we want to sit back and we want to be stuck in our ways and whatnot. And I can see myself getting stuck in my ways as I'm aging. I also always tell my mom, you got to change. You got to embrace it. You got to, I think about like when, like the computers first, computers were a thing, but like people buying computers and putting them in their homes and whatnot. That's a change. We had to get with the times. Having cell phones, having beepers back in the day. Time was changing and you had to move with it. Think about right now, like house phones are about to be obsolete. I do have a house phone because I do have my mom here and she's like, we need a house phone. That's what it was. And I even, grew up with a house phone and I'm okay with having a house phone because it was a thing where it was, if you don't have a house phone, God forbid if the signals go out, how you gonna get in contact with your loved ones? You needed a landline. You needed something that was more concrete. You know what I mean? But we are like cell phones. People don't even have house phones anymore. They have cell phones. It's like your cell phone's on your table, your cell phone's on your island, your couch, whatever. Your cell phone is just there. So it just hit the news, I know for down here where I am, where they were going to be getting rid of, landlines because people aren't using them, but you can definitely have a number. So since I do have a landline, I can keep my landline number since my family have my number, but I can have like a call forwarding, if you will, but no landline. So they're getting rid of that. So we're moving on. We gotta change. But transitioning into new phases like, empty nesting, I always have to use that because I'm about to be an empty nester soon. My baby ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. And then like career shifts, you gotta change. Like I said, computers. Think about back in the day. I know for sure, there were computers, but they were only like them IBM computers for work. Like those, I forgot what they call those old computers where the screen was black and the actual computer where you saw them typing, it was like green or something like that. Like dinosaur type stuff. But we were using back in the day like filing systems and paper and making, like prime example, when you worked in a hospital, medical records, it was always paper. Then they moved into electronics. So you change. Things just change, But that was my first tip, just understand to accept that change is inevitable. You just have to get with it. My second tip is, cultivating a growth mindset. Change can like really help you grow. And I'm experiencing that. It's some things in my life I wish I didn't have to change, but I have to change in order to grow, if that makes any sense. Sometimes staying the same can kind of hinder you and kind of dormant you and keeping you stuck where you are. There's so many different ways to help with growth mindset, getting a new hobby, whatever that might be. Journaling is so funny because this past weekend I got a new journal. Thank you, Keita, if you're watching or you're listening. She gave me a new journal, and I'm going to get into more about that later. And speaking positive affirmations into yourself, those are good ways to cultivate good growth mindset, to adjust for the change in your midlife. As a woman over 40, and even if you're a woman over 50, because sometimes, I sit back and think, there's some women that I hear speak and they say, some say when they get to their 40s, things change. They get to their 50s, things change. I really feel like for me, I had definitely a change in 20s, 30s, and definitely 40s. But I feel like that real big change for me is going to be, I feel it now. I feel like I'm in like the prep stage. I'm like getting ready for this big ooh woo saw type thing. I feel it happening, and I'm enjoying it. I feel like these intentional moves that I'm making, if it's in my career, if it's in business, if it's in friendships, if it's in, I said career, I'm not sure, but career again. I feel the shift, and then like just these intentional moves that I'm making, and even maintaining the friends that I do have, and understanding the type of friend that I am, and the type of friend that they are. Again, I'm a low maintenance friend. I don't require a lot. And I've come to realize as I'm getting older, certain people require a lot in a friendship. And I let it be known, I am low maintenance. I don't need to talk to you every day. I don't need to see you every day. I don't need any of that. We could talk every now and then. I like the friendships where if we don't talk for a while and we talk, it's like we never stop. It's not like an awkward feel on the phone, like, oh hey, how you doing? Because one person needed more. And I'm realizing that now. It's so funny because I didn't pay that any attention. I just pretty much thought everybody was the same, like, how I am. But I've come to realize as I'm getting older and seeing that everybody requires different things, it's, and that's important to know in your friendships, because that's how they last, that's how they grow, and that's how the bond just stays there. I have one friend that we've been friends from childhood. I mean, our parents went to high school together and they wound up moving into the same building, and we have been friends to years to come. We're still friends. We do not talk every day. Sometimes we can go 2 months, longer than that sometimes. But when we do talk, it's like, what's up, Cal? And we just having a good time. It's because we know that people have lives. And we understand, like, if, and we also know that we have other friends. And that's another beautiful thing where you understand that, yeah, we're friends. We're good friends. But I do have other friends, and that's where it comes into, you have other friends that you may have a friend that you can tell all your business to, or your friend you can go have cocktails with, or the friend you could travel with, or the friend you can kiki with, or you might have a friend you could do 3 of them things with, but not all of those things with, and that's where I'm understanding what, friendships are. And, even friendships that I may have had that I may not have anymore, or they might be a little bit on the shaky side, I'm coming to realize that there was a lot of uncommunicated expectations, and now I'm in a point in my life where I can communicate what my expectations are. They can communicate what their expectations are. And we can sit at the table and we can sit and say, well, hey, I can't give that. Or I can give that. Or I would love that. It all just comes, I feel like communication is a key. Not only communication is key in relationships, all relationships. Sometimes we can figure like if we're in a romantic relationship, like, oh, it's key, it's key, it's key. It's also key in friendships. It's all communication is very, very key. And I'm realizing that, and I'm grateful for the friends that I do have, and the friends that I may not have anymore. I'm still grateful for those friends because I've learned so much, so much. And I know we're talking about mindset and talk about change and how to deliver. But I felt like that message was so important that I just needed to give that. And and I also want to put out there. I don't know if any of my friends or anything like that watch my podcast, but if I've ever hurt anybody, in the years, I do apologize. I'm not here to hurt anybody. Again, I feel like uncommunicated expectations, that's important. You have to communicate expectations. When they're uncommunicated and a person has expectations, things can definitely go left. And I've seen it firsthand where a person had expected something from me and I didn't give it, but they didn't tell me I was supposed to do that. And it was like, I didn't think that it was required. You know what I mean? So I want to say I'm sorry and I apologize. And I'm putting it on my platform because I want it to be out there and recorded, because a lot of people think, the people don't cherish their friendships, but I do. The ones that I still do have, and the ones that I don't talk to, I have a lot of friends that I don't talk to a lot, but when we do talk, it's like nothing never left. And I love that. I do. But my candle over here is having a moment. I have one of these Better Home and Garden candles over here. It's salted coconut with mahogany. Smells amazing. But it's one of those wood wick, and it's giving fireplace over here. It just gave a good one. My good friend Keita, she gave me that. Give it to yesterday. I'm gonna get into that too. But my next tip, which is tip number 3, is prioritizing self-care during this transition. Be easy on yourself. Like, again, like I mentioned, friendships, relationships, jobs, your career, hobbies, all of this can take a toll on you. But in all of this going on, you should really pour into yourself during this time. If it's something, the importance of your mental, your physical, emotional, your whole well-being, because you're facing change. We are in our 40s, y'all. Think about it. Midlife for some is 35 if you make it to like 65. You know what I mean? We don't know when our time is up. We don't know that. We can do our best to care for ourselves. We can do our best with, just like I said, care for yourself. I don't want to, try to add anything that doesn't need to be added, but you just never know. So some people sit and say, oh, midlife is 50. Making it to 100 is rare these days. Like my aunt made it to, I think, 96. But I want to say like the last 4 years of her life, she was bedridden. That's a doozy in itself. I just sit back and think about how I am 48 right now, and time is ticking and time is going. And when you're in your 20s, you think you have all the time in the world. And not that I regret any of it, nothing. But however, it's so many things that I want to do. I've done a lot. So it's not that much that I really want to do. And but I just know I really want to do more, like traveling. I'm in a good space right now, but I do want to travel. I don't have no desire to go like super duper far. Like Dubai has never been a desire for me. Never been a desire. I know one of my girlfriends just went to like Rome, Greece. She did like all that type of territory, and that's, again, that's some people's desire. That's never been a desire for me. Now maybe when I get 50, that might be a desire for me. I don't know. But right now, as we're speaking, on this great Sunday, it's not a desire for me. I just really love the islands. I love water. I love sand. Not that that's not over there in those particular countries, but something about just being in a tropical space. And there's so many tropical islands. I just really, 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 really love that. I do. I do. I don't know. I do. I like, you know what it is? I like the heat. Did y'all hear that? The heat. I like heat. And not that it's not hot in Dubai, 'cause I hear it is giving a good heat, a heat meter. It's really hot over there. And I hear Greece is hot too. But it's something about just that tropical. I really enjoy. So that's where I am. That's where I am. But like with self-care, like I said, taking care of yourself, all this going through this time frame can definitely be heavy on us. And we just want to make sure that we're doing some good things for ourselves, getting those daily routines, those rituals, just kind of staying grounded. My therapist mentioned about going outside and putting your feet in the ground. And I have a lot of grass now. Where I used to live, I didn't have a lot of grass. But I have like a full blown like front yard and backyard and side yard. So I am really going to take heed to this grounding thing and just get with it and try it out, and not be afraid of like the nature and doing things a little bit more natural, just being a part of it. And then like going out and being in the sun. I do that a lot. Like even though it's cooling down now, around 3 o'clock here, we can definitely get some good, some good heat. They say here in the South, like, especially in North Carolina, it's like 4 in the morning is dead smack winter. You know, 12 o'clock, well, not I say 12, so it's around 3 o'clock is full blown summer because the sun be hitting hard at 3. After work hours, it's fall. Get a little jacket. And then in the night, again, we're back in winter again. Because the weather is crazy. But we have some good weather for a long period of time. But I just want to give you some good examples here. Meditation, morning walks. I got me some new little walking sneakers, y'all. Some morning walks. And a good, just like a self-care routine. We can get caught up in like, our skincare, evening routines. But, sometimes you have your morning routines and you have your nighttime routines. Those are definitely good. But sometimes, when you feeling out of whack, what is a good routine that you can kind of like run to and say, I need to do this. I need to get myself grounded. That might be, I'm trying to watch my weight here. But, that might be getting that good chocolate cake, that good cookie, whatever you might need, that glass of wine. Something to just point up. Not that, that kind of food is like, good. But whatever is good for you to feel like, okay, this is my good self-care. Going to get a spa day, you know, going for a walk, having some tea, or a combination of everything. You can make your own self-care spa day at home. Like, I love a good sheet mask. Like, every time I go to Sephora, I'm getting a sheet mask. So, putting one of those on, having a glass of wine, reading your book, listening to some jazz music. Forget about the book. Just put the jazz on. Put the sheet mask on. Put your feet up. Have a glass of wine. And woosah. And woosah. Just get into it. So, tip number 4 is seeking support from your community. Now, that's what I was getting into in regards to like having your friend group, having family, having whoever that might be. I know some people, I do have male friends, I do have female friends, I do have co-workers that are almost friends at this point. I have family, and just having your village that you can kind of like tap into. So funny that I'm mentioning this because yesterday I went to a really, really nice brunch with Keita, and we didn't really talk about like content creation and anything. We did, but it was more so about having your community, building, good friend groups and just being very intentional, and not having that hardcore pressure. And it just was like so eye-opening, and it was just so, I felt so full. Like I even had to like shed a little tear there because it was exactly what I needed and what I wanted. You know, that's not feeling the pressure. Not feeling the pressure of like your community, however that looks for you. If it's friends, family, co-worker, just the people that you surround yourself with or that you can reach out to, you can call, that the pressure is not there, you know. And if you do something for someone, they don't minimize it, you know. Sometimes you do things for people, which you can at that time in your life. You know, I'm just trying to find the right words. Just having a good community. And I wrote some things down here because, it's, when you're seeking support, it's good to find like-minded individuals, friends, mentor. I recently got a mentor, and I don't want to say it's life-changing because just because someone else went through something in life, I'm not looking for a life mentor. My mentor is not life, because just because an older woman comes into my life, yeah, my mother's an older woman, you know what I mean? Sometimes, you seek mentors because they're older, they're wiser, they've been through some things. Times have changed, and sometimes seeking a mentor just to kind of say how they may have handled something or how that you should handle something. The mentor that I'm looking for, or that I have, I should say, is more so career based and business based. And I know life is going to come into that because they're going to share their life stories as well. But I wanted a mentor that can help me navigate this business space. And I think I'm doing so good that sometimes it surprises me. And believe it or not, people on social media, you can kind of weed out the people who are just there for the clicks and the likes. You can really find people that are sharing things and nuggets. Of course, you got to listen, and you can find so much information online. You can find so much. Now, not the people that's the glitz and the glam and everything, and you getting infatuated with their lifestyle. And you're like, I want that, so I'm going to watch them and do it. No, 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 no. No. I feel like when you know, you will know. If you want me to do an episode on people that I follow on YouTube that do have a podcast that I find inspiration from, let me know. Leave it in the, somewhere. Leave it in the comments so I can definitely share that. Leave it in the comments so I can definitely share that because there's so many. But yeah, find people, your community, a good community that will, provide encouragement and hold you accountable. you know, for what you say you're going to do. You know, if it's, you say you want to do, if it's, weight loss, if it's your hobby, if it's start a business, if it's something, accountability partners are really, really good. And you have to be very intentional about it. Because saying it and doing it is two different things. That's when it comes to like manifestation. Saying it and doing it is two different things. You can sit and say, oh, I want to sit here and I want to manifest and I'm going to make a vision board. I'm going to do all these different things. But you still got to do the work. You got to do the work. It don't happen on its own. You got to do the work. So, some examples, like joining some women groups, prime example, I just recently went hanging out with Keita and another young lady. Her name is Shonda. And both of them do fashion content. I don't do anything fashion. I am strictly beauty and lifestyle. Like I said, when it comes to fashion, I just like to look nice, decent. I stay in my lane, okay? I do not step out of it. And attending women over 40 and midlife workshops, believe it or not, there are some here in my state. And I said my surrounding cities of me. So there are definitely groups and whatnot that you can meet like-minded women, and you can get together and you can talk, bounce ideas, and find you someone that you can kind of hang with. I used to be against that. Like, I've met people throughout my time being here in North Carolina, but I've definitely met some amazing women here. For those of you who don't know, I'm originally from New York and I've been living in North Carolina for 16 years. I cannot believe that. 16 whole years. And I have met a lot of women, a lot of amazing women. And one thing I've noticed out here with the women that I've met is some women it's just like, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like, it's just different. It's just different. But I thoroughly enjoy it. Women I have met on social media and met in real life. Love it. I can't wait to connect with some women that I am kind of in the mix with. I just want to connect with some more women like that. I just can't wait. It's time come. But yeah, those are some things. So tip number 5, focus on what you can control and not what you can't. And I speak that a lot. I had to come to realize I can only focus on what I can control. And that's me. That's me. I can't control nobody else. So in saying all of that, make decisions within your control. And I recently had to make some decisions on 2 things in my life. And it's hard. I'm gonna be honest, it's hard. It's so hard because we can get so caught up in focusing on what's easy. And sometimes what's hard we don't like. And that's what I'm going through right now. I can control it, but it's hard. It's just hard. You know, I wrote down some things that can help with like reducing like your feelings with being overwhelmed and anxiety. And when I had to make this decision, I had some anxiety and I did feel overwhelmed. But once I did what I had to do for myself, and I do think about other people that's involved, I had to sit back and think, I have to do what's best for Kelly. So I know I'm talking about my personal, I'm trying to not get too involved, but I had to sit back and think, do what's best for you and not what's best for the world. do what's best for you, because the world gonna keep whirling, and you gonna keep doing. But I have to focus on myself and what's healthy for me. So yeah. So I made a big decision, and I feel good. Things are working out. Of course, I'm probably gonna feel some kind of way later on, because you go back and forth. You go back and forth, but eventually, just like any bad relationship, any bad job, any bad let me see, meal you cook, and you got, let's say if you're a baker and you make your first batch of cookies and the batch of cookies come out wrong, make that next batch again, right? And you see what comes out, and the next batch comes out good. Just gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Gotta keep going. So yeah. So just to kind of like recap all, because I don't want to hold you too long. I know I've been running my mouth and talking. I've been talking about what my weekend looked like and what's going on, but I want to really talk to you ladies and be more relatable, be more comfortable, and just share more in this space, if you will. I got this shirt on, y'all. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, it is giving me a run for my money. I mean, I feel like the sleeves is just jumping, doing its own thing. The shoulder want to be off the shoulder. The shirt is not an off the shoulder shirt, but it's just doing what it want to do. So let's recap the 5 tips that I'm giving you, ladies. Tip number 1 is to accept that change is inevitable. Tip number 2, that cultivate a growth mindset. Okay. Tip number 3, prioritize self-care during this transition. 4 is to seek support from a community. Get your tribe. Get your tribe. Like, this is the tribe right here, right? But sometimes you just need like maybe 1 or 2 ladies that you can just kind of like chill with, get your space. It's always good. And then focus on what you can control and not what you can. Sometimes we feel like we can just do it all, and we can, but sometimes it's not the thing. Like, do the, how can I say it? Do what makes you feel good. Sometimes less is best. I'm learning, honey. I'm learning. And I just want to encourage you to just, if you can't do them all, pick one, and then maybe grab another one later. And if not, if one is all you need, then just run with that. Sometimes, we don't need all the things. We just need some of the things. So, in saying all that, ladies, I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you are not yet subscribed here on our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you are not following on your streaming sites, go ahead and follow and leave your girl a review, because we love those. So I want to say thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next episode. See y'all.